Hello everybody and welcome back to the English shooting live stream. Apologies for last week, but I have two very good reasons. But yeah, hope you're all doing well. I hope you've been getting lots of shooting in and enjoying your, of course, lawfully owned firearms. There's going to be a little bit of not lawfully owned firearms in today's live stream, not from me. Just want to put that out there straight away. Everything's legally owned. But yeah, I hope you've all been well. For anybody new to the channel, to the stream, welcome. Thank you for stopping by and watching. If you don't know what this is already, it's sort of an interactive live stream where you can get involved, you can have your opinions heard, raise questions, raise topics, talk about pretty much anything you want. If you've got any questions about the sport, getting into it, different disciplines, different guns, different ammo, whatever, or you think there's something that we should be talking about, then please use that chat box and we will try and get on to as many of your questions as possible. But we do have a number of topics for this evening to discuss, the main one being this number of guns found in a pond in South London. Absolutely incredible. This actually isn't the first time that we've discussed something like this, and it does seem to be sort of scarily common and regular. We're going to be talking a little bit about double juice, although typical, just before I go onto the live stream, the announcement post that they were reopened has disappeared. So I don't know what's going on there, but we'll have a little bit of a discussion about what happened and hopefully they are reopen. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about matches as well. We've got a big match up in Scotland next weekend at a club called Recoil. And it is very, very Scotland. Not like the other Scottish and sort of Carlisle matches, which is sort of just there on the border. This is properly into Scotland. But the guys there, super bunch. I'm really looking forward to that competition. And I've also got on the cards, actually next month, this is sort of snuck up on me, is going to be the highest level IPSC competition that I've ever competed in. It is a level 4 and it is the Pan America Handgun Championship, which I'm absolutely buzzing about going. I love going out to America, as I'm sure you can all understand, but to go out there for a match like this and be a part of it, and actually to be on the GB team that's pretty, I don't know, it sort of hasn't sunk in. I think that's why it's crept up on me. It sort of seemed like a little bit of a dream for so long, but we'd be talking a little bit about that. And we are going to be talking a bit about certain aspects of the law this evening. There's a little bit of stuff that I just want to put out there and clarify, because some people continue to think that they know best. And I'm not here to say I am the oracle, I know everything. I am of course right, but there are certain areas of the law which I have a lot of experience with, and it's not hypothetical, let's just leave it at that. And also a little bit about FAC updates and what's going on. Spoiler, there's no update on my FAC, but fingers crossed. But yeah, anyway, more importantly, I always forget this, if you do enjoy this evening, if you're liking what you see, or liking what you hear, if you're just listening to us, then please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you stick around for more content. I promise I am trying to edit more content. There's a never-growing backlog, but finally had a bit of a tidy of the raw footage, and I've actually started editing again, so there will be stuff coming out very, very soon. But new Lego castle. What are you talking about? Is there a Discord? Yes. Before we get into the main topic, there is a UK Discord. There isn't an English shooting Discord, although I like to think that the UK shooting Discord is sort of like an unofficial English shooting Discord. I know they're going to absolutely slate me now in there, but I don't care. But if you want an English themed shooting Discord, that's a better way of putting it. An English themed shooting Discord, or the UK shooting Discord. I've put a link in below. That's the invite link. You can follow that through. For those of you that don't know what Discord is, it's probably too hard to explain. I'm still not entirely sure myself, but there's a lot of interesting people in there. Just be careful what you say, as yeah, there's been a little bit of furore in there. But anyway, I ramble on as per usual. The main story. This is just fascinating. I caught this. This is the story's about a week, just over a week old now. And I would have discussed it on the previous stream. Shall I talk about that? I'll talk about that afterwards. On what would have been last week's stream, but it's still pretty astonishing. You put yourself in the shoes of this family or these kids, and put yourself in the shoes of somebody that doesn't know anything about guns, right? And to stumble upon this is pretty incredible overall. So this is the big story. So big weapons find in Catford as a family uncovers stash of guns in River Pool, South London. So basically it's a combination of factors. Obviously we've been having a lot of drought here in the UK, a lot of sun, a lot of heat, water levels have gone down, and it's exposing all sorts of weird and wonderful things across the country. And because the levels were low, I guess they were able to either access another area that they usually wouldn't go swimming in, or they were able to touch the bottom. And one of the children that was playing ended up feeling something weird at their feet. I mean, you know, isn't that sort of every shooter's dream, to just feel a random oozy there at your feet? But this is what they ended up then dragging out. They felt something and they thought, right, we better have a look at what that is, and managed to, I guess, using the typical sort of magnet fishing, pick out a number of certainly controlled components and most likely controlled firearms as well. Obviously an Uzi, looks like some sort of revolver. Now you can't really tell from these pictures if they are genuine. They could of course just be airsoft, they could be a replica or even a DIAC, but yeah, it's not been confirmed. And with it being over a week since this, I would imagine that if the police would have confirmed either way. So at the moment, it's still speculated that these are all live firearms. But you've got all sorts. It looks like some sort of AR lower. You can barrel, the upper there. I can't really make out what that is, but that looks like some sort of lower, almost sort of MP5-esque. I definitely think it's not an MP5, but look, it could potentially be some sort of submachine gun, sort of beta mags, big ammo. Now, the usual stories that we see about these, it's not usually a fucking Uzi and AR-15s or maybe even an AR-10. It's big rounds of ammunition, and it's usually military. Of course, the UK quite famous for their military, and they do exercises left, right, and centre, and rounds do end up in all sort of places. But yeah, this doesn't look like, say, typical ammunition, and even those look more artillery magazines, potentially for the Uzi. So they don't know where these have come from, but obviously if we take the assumption that they are live fire, it's pretty safe to say that none of those are actually lawful to own in the UK under a firearms certificate. The people that would be able to legally own these, i.e. say the police or military, like these aren't police or military guns. And in terms of the last one on the list, which would be a Section 5 dealer, a Section 5 dealer is allowed to deal with effectively any other weapon. They are allowed to own pretty much anything that they have authority on their certificate to own. They're not going to go and just start throwing these into random ponds. So I think we can safely assume this is it's either a popular place for one criminal or a popular place for many criminals to get rid of, say, hot firearms. Of course, using ballistics and forensics, you can link guns to crime, you can link guns to people. So if a gun becomes too hot, they're going to want to get rid of it. And obviously, either one person had a lot of guns that they wanted to get rid of, or there are many people getting rid of many things. It sort of is a note to maybe say that firearms laws don't always work as intended. None of that could be owned, from what I can tell, legally on a firearm certificate, yet obviously somebody's been in possession of it, somebody's managed to get it into the country, and somebody's been able to ditch it into a river undetected as far as we know. It would be really interesting though. Neighbours I know we have a love-hate relationship with NABUS. NABUS is the National Ballistics like forensic service, basically, and some of the, when they're not getting, I think, needlessly involved in the politics and sort of the law side of firearms ownership in the UK, they do have a very good purpose, and I think a purpose that everyone can agree is beneficial to have, which is matching guns to crime. And there's this famous story of this one gun that had been used in something like 17 different murders or shootings, and NABUS was able to forensically link this one gun to all of these murders, and that's incredibly important, because if somebody is then found with that gun, it then spreads out and people are able to be charged, and it's more evidence, and it could lead to more convictions. And they do a lot of good work. That is their sort of main purpose. They just like to stray politically every now and then. The other purpose of say like NABUS is the lethality tests that they do. So within the UK, we have within our firearms law, basically what defines something as being a firearm is a lethal barreled weapon. That is the sort of rawest definition of what a gun is here in the UK. It is something that projects a projectile or emits a projectile that could be lethal. Now, they do have obviously set muzzle energies for this, but it's NABUS that will recover guns from scenes. I think more famously, I've shown this on the channel before. There was a guy that converted a blank firer and was actually making ammunition at home out of blank rounds. Now, you could look at it and go, well, that's, you know, technically is a gun, but is it a viable gun? Is it potentially lethal? And that's the important thing within our law. If you're going to convict somebody of being in possession of a firearm, it has to meet that barrier of being a lethal barreled weapon. NABUS takes it away, tests it, and you know, using the standard silicon blocks and all that, we're able to determine that it would emit a projectile that could be lethal. Therefore, they can charge them on those. So it will be interesting, my main point on this story, be interesting to see if NABUS gets hold of any of these guns, if they can be linked to sort of known criminals, known crimes. You know, perhaps they have shell casings that they can match to it, perhaps they can have, you know, they've got expelled bullets that they can match to the rifling, all that sort of stuff. So it would be very interesting to see where that ends up leading. I don't think it's going to particularly lead anywhere. It is just an interesting story overall. Again, it's everything we've been to their horror. Can you imagine? That's very, to a normal person, to their horror, they found an Uzi. It would be like, to the FAC holder, to their delight, they stumbled upon a Mach 10. But yeah, there's not really anything more. Ryan explains, we were at the river view walk where we regularly go with our children, and my sons were playing with a 15-year-old boy, James, when he slipped on what appeared to be a magazine from the gun. He then started to search around in the water, and one after the other, he started to pull everything out you can see in the picture. So they didn't even use magnets, actually. It wasn't magnet fishing. They just literally pulled them out with your hands. And this, I think, is where it came into effect, where the water levels were so low, which enabled them to be able to do that. Of course, in this, you know, maybe a bit of PSA, but you should always, if you stumble upon a gun that isn't yours, and you certainly don't have lawful authority to be in possession of, call the police, right? Because you can imagine it. You know, a firearm certificate holder ends up finding a Mach 10 and thinks, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll take it home, maybe have a bit of a look at it, then take it down my RFD later, and on the way home you get stopped. You can imagine how that conversation is going to go down, right? You know, what are you doing with this Mach 10? I found it. Why didn't you call the police? I was taking it to the police. You know, but you're interested in guns and shooting sports. Yeah. You know, it's just better to not even touch the thing, and yeah, call the police and basically exonerate yourself of any potential wrongdoing. Interestingly, in terms of talking about like finding guns and calling the police. An interesting fact: I've actually got a friend that's training to be a police officer at the moment, and another one that says they're actually going to go into the police. So I don't know, should I be concerned? But part of their training, I'm very interested when, certainly having a friend that's a police officer, and having just gone through all the training, it's like, right, what's the deal? What do they teach you? And funny enough, we were actually talking about knife law, and they were completely up to speed with it. And I was very, very happy, very impressed. But talking about the firearms, and they said, well, they don't really teach us that much unless you're a firearms specialist or you're a firearms officer. Basically, the instruction to a normal police officer is if you find a gun, don't touch it and call the firearms specialists. So it seems like, does every police officer in the UK need? Yeah, I think they do. It's certainly when things like this seem to be more regular. There's actually a lot of air guns out there, a lot of airsoft guns. Just being able to safely tell the difference, or just having the ability to tell the difference between the two. So whilst of course phoning the police is always the best option and passing it on to them, don't expect them to come out there and know what they're talking about. I've experienced this with both normal police officers and specialist firearms officers, which is always amusing. But yeah, that's that pretty, I think, overall interesting story. Let me know what you guys think about it, and yeah, I will dive into the comments and see where we're at. Happy mandatory magazine update. Well, I shouldn't sigh, because we are actually very, 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 very close to going into production. We have the latest, literally arrived today, the latest sample batch from the injection molders. They are, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, maybe anybody else that's watching the stream, I will get I will get them up. Yeah, so we've got those samples. Connor's assembled them today, and we will be at the range tomorrow. So just for those that don't know what we're talking about, I am, of course, involved with Magload, and we are releasing our own sort of universal 2.2 AR-15 magazines, which have been on pre-order for a lot longer than what we would have wanted. But of course, they need to be right. They need to be perfect. We're not going to release anything that isn't right, that isn't 100%. So those are the magazines. No real huge design changes from what you can see in those pictures, apart from the fact that we've actually gone for black hardware, so it won't be these silver bolts, it's black. The top is going to be slightly different. That's obviously where the magic is happening, and where we're spending a lot of time tweaking. So slight geometry tweaks, but pretty much they're going to look identical to those. Yeah, so we're going to be down the range tomorrow, giving them a good test. Dependent on how that goes, we will be giving the yay or nay for production, but everything is pointing towards, at this very moment, for giving that go ahead. And then we're talking a matter of a couple of weeks to be able to get them in, assembled, and start sending them out. So yes, we know we've taken a long time, but there is a lot of the development with the magazines. We get to a point where it's like, right, we've done everything we can do now. We then pass it over to the injection molders, and there's various snag ups. So we are still developing other products, and today you guys might have seen on the Magload Facebook page that we released. I really wanted to call it the Chonky Boy, because it is a chonky muzzle brake, quite well known for it's a world first 3D printed muzzle brake that was released a couple of years ago. Yes, a 3D printed muzzle brake does work. There's a video of it being shot through a full auto open bolt SMG, so that usually shuts up the haters. But it is usually 2.2s are quite thin barrels, but there are a number of barrels that are sort of around 1 inch in diameter. So we've made this chonky boy, or chody boy, whichever takes your fancy, to go on those larger barrels. It was actually designed specifically for the barrels that Cotswold Classic Arms uses. So if you've got one of his arrows, if you've got one of his battle arms, then this is the ticket. And you know, this is actually what Otto puts on the majority of his guns. But we realize a lot of people that may have not heard of Otto, may have not bought a gun from him, but have a barrel that would suit this break, so we released it. And something, actually, this is a bit of a sneak peek because we haven't posted about it. Some of you, if you've been watching some of my match footage, some of the mini rifle match footage, you may have seen that I'm using a very short setup, and you know, we competition prove our stuff. We go into a competition to test stuff out, and a number of people have asked us for these. Actually, that is my exact stock there, and exact gun. So if those of you say, you know, don't go for white, it doesn't stay clean, like that's been in a number of matches now, travelled quite to many different ranges, and it's still looking pretty sparkly clean. But yeah, that is actually the mag-loaded Battle Arms Ambi that I use in competition. So yeah, if you're looking for a minimalist stock, and it really is minimalist, there's like really nothing to it. It's just a single grub screw that locates into the standard notches into your buffer tube, but obviously just goes into the first one and goes on there, and obviously works with anything mil-spec, works on the 1522, and even works on the Typhoon F12. So yeah, anything with a standard mil-spec AR-15 buffer tube, it's going to go on there, plus as I said, the 1522 as well. This is something that I do want to do a video on. I laugh, or you probably laugh. When was the last fucking time you did a video? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. So I do want to talk about this. I'm going to say, well, it's not a conventional setup because it makes the gun incredibly small. Actually, I can probably get some. Let's see if I have got any footage of it. I can't remember if I was running it in the Yeevely. No, I don't think I was. Actually, maybe there isn't any footage of it out there. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's the stock I'm running. The reason I've gone for it is for a few reasons. So usually you have your length of pull. You want the rifle to be set up to your ergonomics. You want the length of pull to, you know, it's proportional to the length of your arms, this, that, and the other. And it is suboptimal. I'll say that straight away. Having it that short, it takes a little bit of getting used to, and I would say certainly for the longer range, you know, and I'm in 2.2, I'm talking 100 yards to 120 yards, it is slightly harder to control the gun. So you think, oh, why have you done that? Well, mini rifle is a very, very fast-paced discipline, right? You're shooting 2.2 rifles, a lot of people using red dots, including myself. And it's just rapid, like in the close-up stuff, sort of everything up to about, you know, 25-30 yards, you're blitzing it. And a lot of the practical stages, certainly a lot of the mini rifle stages, are very dynamic. There's a lot of explosive starts, explosive sort of stopping. That sounds, what is it? You know, hard stops, like, you know, explosives, you know, off the line, and then hard stops and changes of directions and apertures and this, that, and the other. And my whole thing is like, well, I've always gone for speed. Of, you know, the accuracy you can always work on, but like you got to be fast at the end of the day. That's the way I look at it. And you know, the competition gun that I'm using, it's built for speed, and this stock is lighter. It's under 50 grams. It's a smaller package, and that just makes the gun so much more maneuverable. You can actually like comfortably hold the gun like a pistol. And I think there's a lot of benefits. You know, it's not, I think, sort of pros all round. There are some cons to it, but I think overall it does balance out to an overall benefit. And, you know, this is what we do at Magload. We sort of have an idea, you know, and it all came from sort of my, you know, my shooting style. How can I maximize my shooting style and maybe tweak the gun a little bit more to me? And it's just going after that speed. That's always what I'm looking for. So that was the idea to do it. We made a few for me to use, and and other people have seen it and gone, actually I wouldn't mind one of those, so then we release it as a product, and you know, we can stand behind that it is competition proven, as we so often like to say. I don't want to necessarily make this all into a big mag load stream, but there is some other stuff that will be coming out in the very near future, just literally putting the web pages together and getting the photos. Finally, the Ppq magwell. I'll give you a little sneak peek, shall I? These are absolute raw images, like literally just off the camera, but I will bring them up for you to see. Of course, I have to get the magload yellow. So the Walther Ppq2 is an incredibly popular gun here. Of course, it is in a long-barreled pistol format with the rod and 12-inch barrel to make it UK compliant, but very popular competition gun. And as far as we're aware, there's actually very little upgrades for this gun out there on the market. Of course, we do have our carbon fiber shroud that generally makes a massive difference to the feel of the gun. I'm not just saying that because we sell it, I'm saying it because it fucking does. And we've been meaning to release other upgrade components for a very long time, and it's just about time and testing, but they have been well tested now behind the scenes. So you've got the magwell there, and you also have the base, so that is going to be a +5 base, which will turn the standard 12 rounds into 17 rounds. And let's see if I've got any more interesting photos. Of course, a range of colors. Let's bring that up there. This is probably going to be a reject. It's not in focus, but this is raw. So if you can see that, the only downside, and we really didn't want to do this, but it was really the only way, to use the magazine, you have to use our bases. We haven't been able to test. There is a thin extension base out there that's made by another company, and we haven't had a chance to confirm whether that fits with our magwells yet, but we will be selling the magwell as a pack with a base, and our suggestion and recommendation is going to be to run our bases with the magwell to get the, you know, sort of the best package. The standard magazines with the standard base will not fit with our magwell. Again, really didn't want to do that, but the only way to make a magwell that worked with all of the other extensions to work with the standard base, the magwell ends up not being a magwell anymore, or a beneficial magwell at all. So yeah, that's going to be coming out very soon. Again, just need to edit the photos on that and get them up on the website. What else is coming out? There is more stuff, but I haven't taken the photos of it yet. Something that has actually been requested a fair amount is and again, I'm going to have to find a photo that actually looks half decent, is a bigger click. So some of you may be aware that we make a click release belt clip system called Click, and at the moment it only works on 1.5 inch belts, but we've had a number of people, mainly Americans, that have said, well, hang on a minute, guys, you know, we use, you know, 1 3/4 inch belts, so we have the Click 1, and again, apologies, this is not how the final photos will look, they need a bit of editing, but we've got the Click 1, and the reason we're calling it the Click 1 is because it's basically the last, or the only one belt clip that you need, basically, because it's sort of got a little bit of like tech lock in it, which you've got these spacers which clip in the back, so you can still use it. I think you can use it down with like a 1 inch belt, but you can use it with a 1.5 inch belt, a 1 3/4 inch belt, and I think it might even go up to 2 inches. Need to double check that, but yeah, it's a much bigger click for bigger, thicker belts, and I think there's actually a lot more space in terms of the thickness of the belt as well. So yeah, just another option to the Click range, which we hope will be popular, and obviously allows people that are using thicker, bigger belts to use the Click system. And it's also cross compatible, so you can use the original Click plates in the Click 1, so you can use the smaller plates in the bigger belt clip, and then you can even I believe, use the click 1 plate in the smaller clip. So it's all like cross compatible, which is again a big thing that we like to do at Magload. What else is going on? What else are the products? Oh yeah, a load of upgrades for the Armsan A612 coming out. So I believe it's Highland Outdoors very kindly sent us down a dev gun. We basically phoned them up and said, look, we've got a number of things we want to do for the Armsan A612. Can you send us down a gun so we can work with it? And we've got a upgraded latch, a pre-drilled latch for a enlarged bolt release to be fitted. At the moment it's a solid piece, which are a pain to drill and tap. We're also going to be doing our carbon fiber magazine tubes for it, and potentially a few other upgrades that are in the pipeline. So yeah, it's all busy, but yeah, the original question, magazines, they are coming. We are edging ever closer to them. Daniel, how was the holiday? So if those of you that didn't see the post, the reason there wasn't a live stream last week is because I went on a much needed holiday. I know, poor me, first world problems, but ended up going down to St Ives for the week with my partner, and it was also my birthday on Saturday, last Saturday, so sort of went away for my birthday / a couple's holiday, and it was just, you know, some time away, time off from our busy schedules, and it was absolutely sweltering the whole week, so can't complain. It's always the risk of going abroad, going away somewhere in England, is that you end up just with rain the whole week. You stay indoors and you might as well have just stayed at home. But absolutely glorious, absolute glorious weather. Alberto, maybe it's the migration season for wild Uzis and they go up rivers. I mean, anything's possible, right? Andy Carles, updates on mags, please. I thought that was Happy that asked that. Where did that go? I swear. What the hell is going on with? Oh yeah, it was Happy. Well, yeah, I hope you heard all of that. Could be airsoft replicas. The 1873 is odd for criminals. You say that, but the criminals love to have the weirdest sort of guns that, like, it really doesn't matter. You think that, you know, any self-respecting criminal is only going to allow themselves to have a sawn off an Uzi or a Glock, but they really don't care. If you watch stuff like Donut Operator, if you watch keeping tabs on news about guns recovered from the scene of crimes, or from crime scenes, like, there's some really weird, old, wonderful guns that end up finding themselves into criminals' hands. All they are worried about, or what they want it from, is either a deterrent or protection. If it goes bang and something lethal comes out the end of it, that's what they're worried about. And there's loads of memes from, you know, like people being caught with like fucking black powder, like pirate pistols, like, and having the absolute shit ripped out of them online. It happens. So yeah, it's odd. I'm sure it wouldn't be the first choice of a criminal to go around with the 1873, but beggars can't be choosers. If they want a gun and that's the only gun that they can get their hands on or is available at the time, they're gonna take it. You know, in their mind, it's better to have something rather than nothing, obviously, in the profession that they're in. School custard should be classified as a firearm then. How can custard be a lethal barreled weapon? Like, I mean, I'm sure you're going to give a really interesting explanation of how it could be. But I really want to, I want to hear that. I want to hear that explanation. Firing pin impressions are an out. Or their find rifling will be gunged. Well, this whole firing pin impression thing has actually got a lot of publicity a while back. Let me see if I can find it. and it was. Have I managed to find it? No, of course. But Bask actually went pretty hard on it. So basically, my local firearm licensing department, Hampshire Firearms Licensing, the head put out a letter. I think there was a letter going out. It was to everybody that had their certificates renewal or a new applicant, basically saying that they wanted them to retain spent cartridges and spent cases, so that if their guns were ever stolen or lost, they would be able to forensically match it at from that crime scene. So, you know, if your guns get lost, you can go to the police and go, look, here's a shell from that gun, and then they can, you know, potentially match it down the line. And Bask ended up shooting this notion down in flames. They went really, really hard on it and basically said, don't be so fucking ridiculous. And yes, if you fire a case, or you fire a round and you keep that case, or you fire a round, let's say you fire 2 rounds next to each other, forensically, if you put them under a microscope, there will be, say, unique identifying marks from, say, the firing pin, the bolt face, you know, even the chamber. But guns are like any other bit of machinery, like any other tool. They wear, and it, you know, unless you are a collector and you're purely collecting for, you know, and you're not interested in shooting, or you're just like any sort of typical old fud that maybe will only fire 1 round through their gun a year and take 3 hours at the range to do it. But anyway, most people that own firearms legally like to shoot their guns. That's why they own guns, right? Either through training, either for fun, either for sport or competition, or whatever legal purpose in the area of the world that you live that you may use a gun for. So you like to use them, right? And over the time, the firing pin will wear. That's why firing pins are consumable components. The bolt face is going to wear, the inside of the chamber is going to wear. That's why you need to end up replacing your barrels. Again, a barrel is technically a consumable component. It's just like any other bit of machinery or tool. It is going to wear and tear over time. So you end up taking, you know, you keep this spent cartridge, you get this brand new gun, fire a few cartridges on the first go of clays, let's say, or with a shotgun, and you keep one of those shells aside, and 5 years down the line you've put 20, 30, 100,000 rounds through that gun, and it gets stolen, and you go to the police with your, you know, your fresh cartridge from 5 years ago and 100,000 rounds previously, they're not going to look anywhere near the same, right? And that's if you've even got the same firing pin, you've still got the same barrels and this, that, and the other. And this is what Bass pointed out, and they said there might be on some occasion a very slim chance that it may end up yielding fruit, but actually the majority of the time, because the guns wear, it's just absolutely pointless. So basically Bass were like, yeah, don't bother, and it's not a legal requirement. It was only a request or a suggestion, and you know, on the face of it, it doesn't seem a bad idea, but there was really no sort of merit overall. Let me see if I can just see. It was really wasn't that long ago. No, I won't spend any more time on that. So yeah, bit of an odd one on the next one. It was like, I was really happy to, and I haven't really talked about it because I didn't really know what was going on and what happened and this, that, the other. And the last thing I want to do is sort of spread rumors and misinformation. But some of you may be aware that a range that I'm incredibly supportive of, and I think does a fantastic job at introducing new people into the sport and promoting our sport and just making lawful firearms and lawful shooting just more accessible in general, is the Double Juice firing range up in the Midlands. And very sort of sadly and very suddenly, we started seeing these articles that it was closed down for lead poisoning. There was a few let's just say, theories that there was an issue with the ventilation system. Either things were changed, or it wasn't, it wasn't working correctly, or it wasn't, say, in the right setting. And staff ended up getting lead poisoning, which they were being treated for. Again, I don't know to what severity. I don't know if there's anything life-changing or whether it's just a little bit of sickness. But then, of course, a lot of people go through there. I've been there myself. And then the greater concern was going to be for the public. Like, actually have people gone there, or members going there? Is it just the staff? How little or how much exposure did you need to get sick from this? So obviously they closed down to make sure that everything was good. And then I was on their Facebook page, it popped up, and it's gone. Like, there was a little video put up there, and I think it was saying it was going to be reopening, I think it was like the 12th or 14th of August, and I was like, absolutely fantastic, and I kept the tab open to talk about it on the live stream. And yeah, I reboot the Mac before I start the stream, just to be safe. But it's gone. So now I don't know what's going on. There's been no sort of official response about any of this, about the close down, the shutdown, apart from the fact that they were reopening. I really can't find anything to say what is going on. I mean, their opening times are still standard. There's nothing on their website to say that they are closed or anything is different. So I don't know why they would have put that up. If they put it up that they were reopening, they must have been fairly sure that they were reopening. I honestly don't know what's going on. So yeah, I was hoping to be maybe a little more positive and like, yes, they're back opening, and they're back open and everything's fine and dandy, and no harm, no foul, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it is just odd that they sort of made that post and now it's gone away. So I really don't know what's going on. I may do the journalistic thing and actually get in contact with the owners and and ask them, and really get it from the horse's mouth, because I do have a video pretty much ready to go. And it's typical this, right? The video that I have almost ready to go is one that I don't feel like I can release, because it's about going to Double Juice, and I don't want to release a video going, look at this fantastic range, and it not be open. That sort of doesn't make sense. So it'd be good to know if they are back open and they're trading as normal, because I'd like to get that video out and give you guys a big old tour of it. So we don't know don't know really what's going on. Paul IPSC, don't mention the magazines, a little bit too late for that, sorry. The Oxford Gun Company, where you'll be able to shoot everything which can be shot, including shotguns, rifle, air rifles, pistols, practical shooting, paintball and archery. Saturday 3rd of December. Yes, so I've heard about this. They're having the Oxford Gun Company is having like a shooting festival where they're really getting sort of every aspect of shooting sports there and being represented. So yeah, I was actually in talks with somebody. Magload was going to sort of help out. I was going to help out with the sort of promotion side of it, and I think Magload was actually going to sort of sponsor a little bit of it. So we will. I'll see what happens with that, but they haven't been in contact, recently. So just have to wait and see. But it should be really good. I do really like the Florence and Dave that runs Oxford Gun Company. I think it's a fantastic facility overall. I think there's a video there. I have put a video out there of going there, I think. But I've been there once or twice before. Fantastic ground, fantastic people, and for those of you that don't know, Dave is on. It's the oh god, TS. What is it? I'm genuinely subscribed to them. I can never remember the name. I don't think they call it the Oxford Gun Company. It's not the Oxford Gun Company YouTube. Let me find it. But they run a channel, and actually when I was getting into shooting sports, and I was getting far more into clays than really anything else at the beginning. Oxford Gun Company, and their videos were very very useful. TSC, the shooting channel, that's what it's called. So yeah, they sort of cover everything from techniques to gun reviews and stuff like that. So yeah, fantastic resource. Certainly there is more of a sort of game and clay pigeon shooting channel, and actually I managed type in Oxford Gun Company on YouTube and mine's the first video, so gotta love that. But yeah, this was, when did I go? God, it was April 2020. So God, that was probably the last place that I went out in a while in 2020, like before everyone knew what was coming. But yeah, just little tour video. It's big, fairly well. It's like a fairly big place, and it's all very well run. Sort of modern traps, loads of different traps and birds, and they're constantly expanding their like the disciplines that they're doing. Obviously, you know, they know about practical, and there's me. Don't look. It's using a Browning. They are big Browning advocates, which I can let slip because they're good guys. But yeah, fantastic ground. Would highly recommend going there, not just for the sort of fair / festival that they're doing, but just that it's a nice place. They've got a cafe there, they've got a shop there, and you can even hold Amber Hill's first shotgun. They've got that behind the counter, so you can go and hold that if you're interested in Amber Hill. I'm sure most shooters, male shooters, probably have an interest in Amber Hill. I shall say no more. Brian Solomon, I knew there would be one. Muzzle chode. Why would you need a muzzle brake on a 2.2? Well, let me show you. So this was out in the States. It was like one of these. So obviously while we were out in the States, we had a bit of fun, but it was mostly for business purposes. Honest. Mostly boring business purposes. Yeah. So, but when we had the opportunity to so this was with this was the full auto day that Tom very kindly invited us to. Absolutely phenomenal day. It's, I think, arguably the best day shooting I've ever had in my life. Let me try and find the more videos. And he had a full auto open bolt SMG 2.2, and we're messing about with this thing. It was hilarious. If you guys remember watching the full auto video, it like we wet ourselves. We were like genuinely wetting ourselves at how this thing run, because it was like it was just a zit, and that was it. I think it was like a 10-round magazine, and you pulled the trigger and it was just nothing, but it had muzzle rise, right, even for a 2.2. Now, okay, this is an extreme case because it's a full auto, a very fast actioning full auto, but this is why you need a 2.2. This is why you need a muzzle brake on a 2.2. So this is actually the older version, and the slightly thinner one, which you can see fits the barrel that it's been put on. Let's just have a look. How can I enhance? No, not full screen on my computer, you fucking Jeb. Oh, Facebook. And I'm gonna. Oh, I really hate Facebook sometimes. Like really hate Facebook. Oh. Anyway, I'm trying to be vaguely competent here. Here we go. Oh, come on. You might have to watch it a few times because I'm going to have to bring it up and play. I think there is some slow-mo. So you can see without the muzzle brake, that is, and you know, there is a human factor there, but Connors was holding it same pressure, sort of same lightness both times, but you can see the gas working with that muzzle brake in the slow-mo. You can see it coming out at the top there, and it is keeping it flatter. Now, of course, you might go, what's really the point, you know, making a brake for a full auto? Well, it's not made for a full auto, it's made for a 2.2 semi-auto. Predominantly mini rifle. It's designed for competition, where with an IPSC you are putting 2 shots on target as quickly as possible, even on a 2.2. And it's not actually sort of muzzle flip from the gases, it's more the bolt coming back, it's more the weight of the bolt destabilizing the gun and flipping up the muzzle. What that muzzle brake does is it's specifically designed for a 2.2, because like you put a 223 brake on there, which a lot of people do, absolutely fucking pointless, because a 2.2 LR produces a fraction of the gases that a 223 produces. So those big vents on a 223 brake do nothing with the gases from the 2.2. That's why the holes on the 2.2 brake that we make are much smaller. It makes the most of the gas that is available, and it is tuned to the gases of a 2.2 LR or 2.2 WMR. Sorry if every time I say 2.2 WMR, I can just hear slight wanking in the distance from range 21. He's like the what is it? It's the 6.5 Creedmoor Soggy Biscuit game, but for WMR. He's just he even popped. I say that because he popped up on the post when I said WMR when we were talking about the muzzle brake. But anyway, great channel. You should go and check him out as well. But that was a very weird segue, or very weird. Anyway, back on track. Yeah, so that's why you need a 2.2 muzzle brake for competition. When you're trying to put 2 shots on target as quickly as possible, the more control the gun, the more control the muzzle, the quicker you can go. Just because it feels like there's no recoil with a 2.2, just because it feels like there's no muzzle flip with a 2.2, there most definitely is. It's actually really noticeable on LBPs. And this is why I'm actually, like, I still absolutely love the Walther Ppq, but something that I've noticed comparing it to the likes of the new, like the Antrag that I shot from Cotswold Classic Arms, or even the Shield, I've gone completely blank and I can't remember what it's called. Basically the CZ copy from Shield, is there's a lot of weight to those guns, which usually I don't like, but they are very, very stable. And the issue with the likes of the Walther Ppq, and I think this is even accentuated more like with the 9mm because it's a bigger cartridge, but even with the 2.2, it's a very flippy, sort of snappy gun. And obviously you've got that slide moving and forth, so that's introducing quite a lot of sort of felt flip. And actually having the CZs that have a little bit more weight to them, they just shoot a little flatter. I remember that with the Antrag, put it on that plate rack and it was just absolutely rapid. But yes, long story short, you need, like, if you're serious about competition, you need a muzzle brake. It's like even on a 2.2. Show you the vid comparing a bare muzzle to the magload chode on a full auto 2.2. That wasn't the chode, Daniel. You were there. Or don't you remember? Again, you're probably too busy masturbating in the corner with the Desert Eagle. We all took turns. Why are none of the colours FDE/green? I can just here we go. I knew I knew Paul was going to be. We knew that. Yeah, I knew Paul was going to jump onto that. Yeah, FDE tan or difficult colours to match, although it is something we're looking into. Yeah, but what Paul said, and when Paul says it's difficult, he's the one trying to do it, and the issue is we can do it, right? It can be done. We have the technology. It's just a case of consistency, right? If you ever want to, like, it's, you know, we're a shop at the end of the day. You ever want to come down to Magload and sort of have a look at all the stuff that we maybe not we put out there publicly, the stuff that we're working on, we're trialing out. There is a whole pot of flat dark earth and OD green stuff. The issue is it's just a very sensitive color to get right, and basically, you know, all the other colors that we do, we can consistently color them, no matter how much, how many parts are, you know, colored in one go in the batch. Like FDE and an OD green are very, very sensitive in terms of the consistency to actually how much is in there. And for somewhere that's manufacturing and we're coloring, you know, hundreds of parts a day, it's like we can't have something that's that finicky. It has to be almost bulletproof, forgive the pun. So yeah, it is something that we've been looking at. It is something that we want to do. It is something I'm sort of against doing, adding more colors. Again, in terms of efficiency, in terms of the operation of the business, the more SKUs we have, the bigger my head aches. It's more stuff that we have to keep on the shelf. It's you know, more SKUs, more stock. You know, we keep stock of all colors of all products, and you know, the more colors there are, the more stock that we have to keep. That's more investment, that's more space, that's more shelves, and all this, that, and the other. The thing is, we've just become very known for our colors. I don't actually have any. I should really just try and steal the rainbow loader. Don't tell Connors I said that, Paul. Or maybe Paul, you could make me another rainbow loader and I could have nicely on display. But we have 10 standard colors, and people love it. You know, people like to pimp out and tart up their guns. But yeah. Snake foolery. Are bump stocks illegal in the UK? They are now. Actually, they weren't illegal for a very long time. There's a little bit of a disagreement on this, and it depends how. It's not necessarily interpretation of the law, but maybe prediction of how it would pan out in the courts. So bump stocks. There's something called the Offensive Weapons Bill, and bump stocks were included within that. So they are now named in law as being prohibited. Previously, they weren't. There was no mention of them, and actually, you know, that's why they're legal in the US, is because they didn't meet the definition of, say, full auto, you know, via the legal definition in UK firearms law. So they were, by definition, legal to have. And I am aware of some very brave people that, you know, they did keep it mostly quiet and didn't allow any videos to go out. But there were a few people that did have these bump fire stock, or these the bump stocks in the UK, because they technically weren't breaking the law. And I say technically because we have something that, when it comes to firearms, is the spirit of the law. What you have to understand in terms of firearms ownership in the UK is to revoke a certificate, to refuse a certificate, be that a shotgun certificate or a firearm certificate, is the evidence required does not need to meet anywhere near the level or the bar that evidence would need to meet for a criminal conviction. And there's this whole spirit of the law, which is, whilst I don't think you would be prosecuted for having, prior to them becoming, you know, named and actually black and white illegal, prior to that, if you were caught with a bump fire stock, I don't think you'd be able to be prosecuted for it. They might try their, you know, chance their arm and drag you through the court system to just see if they can get a jury to convict you of it. I don't necessarily think that would happen. But in terms of the firearms aspect, in terms of your certificates, kiss goodbye to them, right? Because, you know, regardless of whether it is actually illegal, regardless of whether they can convict you for it, they don't need to be able to do that to remove your certificates. Ask me how I know. Like, still don't have a criminal conviction, still don't have certificates. I'll call that a draw. If only you know. So yeah, they are now illegal, but it was a very interesting area of the law for a while. And it's one of the best examples of the spirit of the law. You don't actually break the law, but they're going to still fuck you in the arse anyway. Happy noxious substance. I don't know whether you're talking about Connor's farts there, or the colouring process, or whatever. I don't know. Ask Paul. Handguard update, re. What handguard, Daniel? Don't know what you're talking about. Soon. It is the highest it's been on Connor's priority list. Bearing in mind the only one in existence used to be the one on Connor's competition gun, and there is only a second one in existence, which is on my competition gun. So, like, we need to test it. We need to make sure, and we need to, actually make them. Making the first prototype is one thing. Perfecting the design is another. Going into full scale production is another. So we are almost there, but as you can imagine, our priorities are very much set on the magazines at the moment. Once they're sort of off the dev plate, it will free up a lot of Connor's time, and he'll be able to get onto the machines and make the required bits. The only reason that actually Connors and I both have one of our mil-spec, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Magload will be at some point releasing a mil-spec AR-15 carbon fiber handguard. We currently make one for the 1522, which is specific to the 1522, but we will be making a standard mil-spec AR, which will be able to be used on both 2.2s and also, say, 2.23s as well. The only reason that Connors and I actually have one is because they are, it uses the same polymer nut, not the same, but the same construction as the one for the 1522. For the 1522, it works fine because it's a polymer receiver set, and it's also 2.2. And of course, our competition guns are 2.2 as well, so we know that it should be safe. But these are going to end up being on, potentially 223s, 308s, 300 blackout, 6.5 Creedmoor, that sort of stuff. I can hear somebody playing Soggy Soggy Biscuit in the distance when I say 6.5. Oh, say that again. So they need to be aluminium, basically, and that's a whole nother headache. 3D printing something, it's taken years to nail down the process, but yeah, there's a reason that we 3D print so much. It's just a hell of a lot easier to produce something than conventional machining. But there's some times where conventional machining is required and obviously has a lot more benefits. So it's coming, all right? Brian Solomon, did you see the Met head of firearms interview on Phil Sports channel? He said mental health issues are taken on a one-to-one basis, and they have issued SGCs and FACs to them. Yes, this is something that I've talked about loads of times, which is, having a mental health issue, be that anxiety, depression, or whatever, is not an automatic exclusion from firearms ownership here in the UK, because mental health is so varied, right? It's so different, and it's very, very complex. So the police should and do take every sort of case on a case-by-case basis, and will usually involve the doctors quite heavily in deciding the severity. But also, you can have people that are severely depressed but actually have no there's sort of no chance, or there's no inclination or desire to hurt themselves or other people. They're just severely depressed, but it's not, there's going to be no action from it. They're just in that state of mind, so therefore they're actually safe. Of course, regular monitoring and this, that, and the other needs to be maintained, but yeah, it's not a blanket no. And this is what I say to people all the time, is if you are in the unfortunate position where you've either had mental health issues or you're still suffering from mental health issues, and you want to get into lawful into shooting sports, well, first of all, it certainly does not preclude you from taking part in the sport. As you know, the only restriction on who can or can't take part in shooting sports is people with criminal records or has served a custodial sentence for over 3 months. So, you know, as in terms of mental health, there is actually no barrier to the sport in regard to mental health. Obviously, it will be a very big point during a application to personally own firearms. But the best thing you can do is speak to your doctor and basically say to them, like, look, would you be supportive or would you be against the idea of me going and getting a firearm certificate? And at the end of the day, police aren't medical professionals. The doctor is going to have quite a big sway, I'd imagine, on how likely you are to get your application granted. Oh, was in response to the Section 5 school custard noxious substance. No, it should be any other weapon. Give Connors more Pepsi Max. He drinks enough of the stuff. Paul, it's somewhat out of his control at the moment. As Callum said, we're finalising the injection moulding parts, so the delays are through working all of those details out. Yeah, you know, this is why this is why it is taking so long with the magazines, because, you know, we can test, identify and make changes very, very quickly to them, pretty much within a day. When we have the next sample in our hands, we are straight down the range, you know, making notes, doing the testing, working out what needs to be tweaked, and then those tweaks are sent off to be done. But you know, this company isn't just there for us. They have other customers, they have other orders, they have other work on, and they then need to schedule us in. They need to schedule the tools to be changed, the run to be done, and just unfortunately that can take 2 or 3 weeks each time. So yeah, it's a case of we get the magazines, the latest iteration, we go and test them, we identify modifications, and then it's 2 or 3 weeks until the next batch drops. So, you know, the real oversight on our part with the magazines is that we had absolutely 100% working. I say we have 100% working 3D printed magazines. We've got 2 or 3 of them that we could go down to the range right now and, you know, blat off 32 rounds, absolutely no problem whatsoever in any gun you want to throw it in. The oversight was sort of like, we knew there were going to be tweaks. We knew that there was going to have to be some allowances for moving to injection molding. We just didn't anticipate this much. I mean, I've worked with injection molding before in various industries, and you know, it's usually fairly straightforward because you start from the ground up with injection molding, right? You have an idea for a product, or there's a part to a product that you need to have injection molded, and you just go, right, this is going to be injection molded, and you work with it from the injection molders from the start. We couldn't do that because, you know, we needed to be able to go and test it. We needed to be able to go and work things out, and we needed a rough idea of where to start before we even went near injection molded, and that's why we needed to go down the 3D printing route. And that's not something that I've ever done before. That's not something Connors has ever done, which is actually converting a 3D printed product or a 3D printed model into something in injection molded. And it just really does highlight and show the massive differences in those manufacturing techniques, the nuances of those different manufacturing processes. You know, the tolerances are all different, you know, to the sort of the range of tolerance, you know, how accurate each machine can be, the manufacturing I won't say necessarily manufacturing defects, but the manufacturing articles of both of them are completely different. So it's, yeah, it was massive oversight that we never thought in a million years there would be this much sort of final tweaking to be done, but we are getting there. We will get there. It shall be done. We have the technology. And tomorrow we will be going down to the range, and fingers crossed, it will be a case. I very much hope tomorrow we are able to put out on Magload that the magazines are going into production. That is the goal. That's where we're at right now. We just need to go and put some rounds through those magazines, through a number of different guns, and then we can give the go ahead. That's, and we genuinely feel this is the closest that we've been, although that's how we feel every time. But really, it's like we're so, I'm not gonna say it, but we really do feel that it's most likely there. I'll bake a cake in the shape of a magazine when you guys finish it, and I'll send it down. You should come down. When was I don't think you've actually been to the new Magload unit, Dan. You should come down. You'd be more than welcome if you can put up with our bullying. Once pre-orders are out, we're all going on holiday. No, because then main orders are going to be open. And, I know there's a load of people that haven't put pre-orders in, but they're waiting for the main orders to open up. Callum, you should upgrade you to first class for being the handgun pro from Magload for the Pan Am. You do know Paul's going as well, right? Like, I wouldn't say I'm the best representative from Magload going out to it. And actually, that's a nice segue. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I'm very happy to say that I will be representing the GB out in the Pan American Handgun Championships, which is a level 4 continental level match. So the only match that is higher is a world shoot. So it's a big deal. The highest level that I've shot at is a level 3. I think it's hilarious that the first level 4 that I'm doing is in handgun. It's probably the discipline that I have the least experience in, but that's just part and parcel of being a shooter here within the UK. It's out at the Universal Shooting Academy out in Frostproof, Florida. So I know, hard life, right, having to go and fly out to Florida for a match, but I'm super excited, and like just blown away. So I'm shooting in the production team, which means I think it's pretty much sealed that I'm going to be shooting a CZ, like a CZ Shadow, which is also why I'm thinking of maybe trying to get as much experience with I still can't remember what it's completely, the Shield no, not RMS, that's the bloody site. What's it called? Shield site. I'm going to kick myself. Products. Where's the guns? Let's go shoot LBP. And I know by the time I find it, there's going to be like a million one. So it's the SO1. No, KMR. Yeah, KMR SO1. So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically a CZ Shadow clone. We have one at Magload for development. Here it is. It's actually compatible with, I did a video, there's actually a video on the channel when it was first released. It was going to be branded Shield, it's now actually KMR. But yeah, it's pretty much a CZ. So it would be good to try and get as much hands-on experience with that before we go out as possible, so that I'm at least vaguely familiar with the gun that I'm potentially going to be shooting. I don't know how many stages it is, but being a level 4, it's going to be a lot. I think it's shot over 2 or 3 days, and I think it's something from like the 17th or 18th of September to like the 21st of September, something like that sort of region. I should really know. I booked Paul's flights the other day. I guess they're going to be right. And yeah, we're going to be going out there with the team. I'll be part of the production team. Paul is shooting on the standard team, so at least I'll have some excuse for when he absolutely trounces me. For those of you that don't know, Paul is Mr. Paul IPSC, as he is in the chat, is a world-class action air shooter, which is using. I'm not going to touch it because YouTube will get into a little tiz, but basically using airsoft guns. It's a IPSC. It's a recognised IPSC discipline. And it's very popular here in the UK because we're not able to own the full bore versions. And for those of you that say that an action air shooter can't transfer to live fire, I think you're going to be sadly mistaken. I would, if I was a betting man, which I am, I'd put money on. I'm going to set him up. I'm going to stroke his ego a little bit, and maybe give him a bit of pressure. But I will put money on Paul being if not one of the highest performing Brits out in America. I think he's going to demonstrate to people actually action air is a great place to start if you're interested in getting into all manners of handgun shooting. The skills are very transferable. So yeah, it's going to be a fantastic competition overall. I think at the very least it's like a week out in Florida. Can't complain with that. And yeah, being on the production team, we'll just have to see where it goes. I'm actually feeling quite good about it because it's like I don't feel there's any pressure. It's not a discipline we really do here in the UK. I've been out to Nitsa a few times, of course, shot a fair amount of handgun, but nowhere near the level of those top class shooters that are going to be taking the podium. So I really am just going to, my main goal, don't get DQ'd, and have fun. And usually that's how I end up getting my best match performances, is going into a match going, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to take it one stage at a time and enjoy myself. So yeah, that will be very good. Very much looking forward to that. And I will be filming it. I know I better try and clear some of the backlog before we go out there because I don't think my hard drive is going to take anymore. But on the notion of Paul, a little bit of maybe information for you guys that are waiting for your FACs. Happy. Myself. So some of you may know Thames Valley, I believe this is true. Thames Valley Firearms Licensing Department is actually paired and teamed up with Hampshire Firearms Licensing Department, which seems to have made noble difference to Hampshire's ability to actually issue firearms or shotgun certificates, because Paul, I guess you don't mind me saying this, but Paul actually now has a firearm certificate. He's a big boy now. He's not just an airsofter. He owns real guns now. He ended up, he put in for his application. He managed, after about 8 fucking tries, managed to get a successful application submitted, and it took a total length of 3 months. So that's from submitting the applications to Thames Valley to the certificates being issued. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but it's been about a month, maybe or 3 or 4 weeks since the interview. So as a bit of a guide, as a bit of maybe a mark in the sand, certainly for anybody that's in Thames Valley, they've turned around a first time application for a coterminous certificate in 3 months, and it was about a month after the interview that the certificates landed. Hampshire, fuck knows what they're doing. I was told I would hear something 2 to 3 months after my interview. It's now, it's well over 3 months, and it's approaching 4 months. My solicitor is going to give them, I think she said maybe give them a prod. So I do have the card for my FEO, so I may even drop him an email. But I have seen from various posts of Ppq within the Discord, I don't think he's any closer either to getting his certificates, which is a shame. And again, it just highlights the disparity that we are seeing between firearms licensing departments. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, literally 2 licensing departments that are sort of twinned or paired together, that have teamed up together. One can process an application in 3 months, and one on the other it's been 3 months since the interview, and I've still not, I mean, it took them 2 bloody years to actually get me my interview. So, I guess 3 months after the interview is relative, but it's ridiculous. There's a couple of caveats in terms of Paul's case that I will just make clear, because he is a special boy. He lives at home with somebody that already has a firearm certificate, and there are guns stored there at the premises. That's going to always make a big difference, because in terms of their concern, or in terms of your attitude to firearms, if there's a family member already there that has them, well, you're exposed to them, your security's already been checked, this, that, and the other. And also, he is under the RFD, so there is a level of checks when you are made a servant of an RFD anyway. So and he's a very experienced shooter, and at a high level competitively. So those things do, I think, all help to certainly avoid typical delays that you're going to see with application processes. But yeah, still, I don't think 3 months for an initial application is bad at all. Black Templar, appreciate the support. Will you play COD Modern Warfare 2 or MW2 when it comes out? I'm not actually a big gamer. I'll be completely... rephrase that. I'm a huge gamer. I love games. I will sit and play them for days, which is why I can't. I've told this story before, right? But it's the best way to surmise why I don't have any consoles at home. Even a mobile phone is dangerous enough. I'm big into chess at the moment. If anybody does play chess, because I'm always looking for people to crush and humiliate. If any of you know what Chess24 is, my username is it username or is it my name? Yeah, my username is CLC0608. Find me on there. Play me. Come challenge me to a game. But yeah, so the story of why I don't have a games console. So my now fiance's father had a Xbox with the red ring of death. He had bought another Xbox, and this one sat there doing nothing. And I was like, I think that can be repaired. So he was like, he gave it to me and was like, if you can repair it, use it, fine. And this was just as I was going to do my final year of university, very crucial, important year of university. And, I think it was 2 weeks that I was up in London before the term started. And within 2 days, within a day, I'd fixed this Xbox. Went and got Forza Horizon 2, I think it was, or maybe 1, I can't remember. No, it was Horizon, no. Anyway, it's one of the Forza Horizon games. And I proceeded to play it pretty much non-stop for a week. And I mean, not doing anything else, not doing any of the prep work for the year ahead, not going in for... Well, there was nothing I had to go in for, but the stuff that I could have been more prepared for, as always. And it broke. It got the red ring of death. I tried to repair it again, ended up damaging it beyond repair. And I was this close to going into CEX and just buying another one under warranty for like 80 quid, because it was a 360. And I thought, no, if I go and buy that Xbox, I am going to do nothing but play video games for the duration of my final year. and I was like, I know I need something to blow off steam. I know I need something to take my mind off of my university course, but I want something to show for. I want something to show for it at the end of that sort of you know what I'm trying to say. You know, of that blowing off steam, and that is when I started making videos. I'd already had the idea for English shooting. I was already, you know, wanting to do those videos and talk about laws and do reviews and stuff like that. And I was like, it's something to take my mind off of uni. It's something to, you know, that I think is going to be productive, and I'm going to have something to show for it at the end of the end of doing it. I really wish I just bought the fucking Xbox now. I've got a lot to show for starting the channel and a lot of legal bills as well. But yeah, so I'm not big into my games. I just it just sucks too. I've got that sort of personality where I'll be coming home early to go. I'll be staying up late, coming home early from work. You know, just not doing what I should be doing, just playing games. So yeah, no, I do want to. It does interest me. Like, GTA has always been my favorite game to play. I've never really played GTA 5. I've played a little bit of it and love it, and I get very tempted to go and buy a console just to play that game. And racing games I love. The like sort of COD and all of that. It sort of appeals to me. It certainly appeals to me on the front of like how realistic a lot of the guns are, how they're manipulated in the same way, how they are real life guns in there. You know, they're based off of real life guns. They're not even based, but you know, it's the real thing. You know, it's like going on Forza and jumping in a LaFerrari. You know, it's based, the specs of it, the performance of it has been modelled off of the real thing. So that I would find very intriguing. And there is a phrase that we use quite a lot, which is the Call of Duty generation, which is what we're seeing a lot of within the sport, is people that have come to sort of appreciate firearms and sort of firearms ownership through video games. You know, they're playing these games that, again, the guns are modelled off of real guns. They learn the names, they learn the mechanism, they learn the different types of optics, like how different guns are going to perform and what specific uses they may have, and how, you know, what their strengths and weaknesses are. And people develop actually a very keen interest in firearms through these video games. And then when people find out that they can own these guns in real life in the UK, they're all for it. They've got a passion or an appreciation, and it's a very dangerous comparison, and a very, you know, you've got to be careful, because you know, like, oh, people play these war games and shoot each other on the video games, and then they want to go and own real guns. Like, you know what the left and fucking social justice warriors and, you know, gun control network is going to be like, oh no, can't be having that, that's just bad. No, they've grown for an appreciation for the firearms themselves, and they want to go and use them lawfully and safely in real life. What happens in a video game is what happens in a video game. It's not real life. Well, you know, as somebody that's passionate about getting new people into the sport, I like tapping into that and trying to harness that. So, you know, playing a little bit more of it myself and I've even had the idea of like streaming it, which would actually probably be quite entertaining, because I've literally never played these games, so I'd be a complete noob. It's probably like the complete reverse of what normally happens. Like, actually fairly decent with a real life gun, but you put me in a video game and I won't last 2 seconds. Whereas you get a lot of people that play a lot of video games far better than I think I ever could, and you hand them a gun in real life and they really don't know what to do. But yeah, maybe I'll do that as like a live stream special at some point. But yeah, we call it, I think as well, and again, I hate the comparison, I hate any sort of synergy between this, but you know, I think that's why there's a lot of new young shooters getting into practical shooting, because it's dynamic. It's the sort of closest thing within shooting sports like the video games that they're playing. And again, it's not about, not even going to say it, but it is not about that, right? It's an appreciation for the firearms. It's becoming skilled at it, like you become skilled at these video games. It's about upgrading the firearms and tinkering with it and understanding it, and and practicing and training yourself and being proficient with it. We make it very, very clear that we're about shooting paper, steel and clays. We just happen to use the same equipment that's in these video games. Callum going 030. Don't know what that means. King, Tanya, long time lurker here. Keep up the good work. Really appreciate it. Why lurk? Well, I know exactly why you lurk, because if you say something silly, I might bite your head off. If I don't, Daniel probably will. If Paul's in the chat, he's like a rampant, like fucking Yorkshire Terrier. He will nibble your ankles until you're standing on studs. And then there's all the rest of you dickheads. Like, but yeah, we're not that bad. Like, you shouldn't be scared of getting into the chat. But I appreciate it. And thank you for your support. I did see somebody saying, and I think they typed this in a couple of times, so I need to try and actually finally answer it. Michael, would our club benefit from getting an RFD, or is it more trouble than it's worth? Absolutely. I think like an RFD within the club, or a club RFD, don't really get a club RFD, but yeah, your club having an RFD will make things a hell of a lot easier. Now, clubs have a reasonable free reign as it is, because of the club exemptions and sort of benefits and exemptions within law that are afforded to Home Office approved club members and the committee. But an RFD just allows you to pretty much do everything. So obviously buying guns is a lot easier. You do have to be careful. Like obviously there is a very specific purpose for the RFD, and there's a very specific purpose for the club certificate. If the RFD is just buying a load of guns specifically for the club, well technically that's not illegal, because the RFD can lend guns to club members or lend it to the club. That's not an issue. But then the police will probably go, well, hang on a minute, if these are just dedicated club guns, they need to be on the club certificate. Borrowing guns here and there, fine, no issue. But if like literally the only people using them are club members and they're not being sold or this, that and the other, but then it depends what you have under the purpose of the RFD, or what it's for. So but yeah, it would be, I think, massively beneficial, because even if in terms of receiving guns, so if you want to buy new guns for the club, or you want to buy any controlled components as an RFD, you can have them sent to your door. And it boggles my fucking mind that it's parcel force like that. I still don't get, like, when you get a knock on the door and it's parcel force and they're holding a gun, and they just, it's your pretty much your normal postman just handing you a gun and going, all right, see you later. You're like, and it's parcel force. Like, parcel force would probably be the last company that I would trust to be the pretty much sole national logistics company for firearms in the UK, because I don't think TNT does it anymore. But yeah, if you have an RFD, that's why we have an RFD transfer. So a firearm certificate holder can't send their gun, down the country or up the country. You've got to give it to an RFD, and they will send it to another RFD, and this, that, and the other. So that's a huge benefit, is receiving that. Obviously, ammunition, and actually, it's a good point. You can obviously buy. You have restrictions in terms of the explosive restrictions in how much you can store, but an RFD is not limited in how much ammunition that they can buy, apart from the powder limits. So as long as you've got an armory or an ammunition store that is up to scratch, yeah, the RFD can buy as much ammunition as it likes and keep it for the club and transfer it to the club when it needs. So that's a big benefit. And I think what you were saying, or maybe somebody else was saying earlier, in terms of discounts, there are a lot of importers or wholesalers that will not deal with anybody other than those with an RFD, and a lot of the first question when you go to open an account with these wholesalers is, we need a copy of your RFD on file. If you can't provide that, they won't open up an account, therefore you sort of shit out. So yeah, a lot of benefits to having an RFD at the club. I think it's sort of easily justified as sort of a business model. The club makes money in selling ammunition. It may, so it's like the NSRA. I think the NSRA is probably the best example, where you've got the NSRA shop, right? It's the NSRA. It is a club, but it's also an organization. But they have their own club. They have their own shop to be able to serve their sell members their guns, sell ammunition to their members, stuff like that. Happy on week 20 now, plus 6 weeks prior to Xmas, like crazy. Paul, my application went in for the 5th time at the start of May. Had the interview on the 3rd of August. Certificate arrived on Tuesday. Oh, it wasn't even a month away. That's I thought it was actually quicker. Like, I thought you had your interview sooner, but I don't know. What day is it? What month is it? Who am I? Black Templar, was you a big Halo 3 and or COD fan back in the day? Again, no, I wasn't. So this is a shooting channel, I promise. So the only consoles, and this might be giving away potentially how old I was, or how old I turned on Saturday. But my first ever console was a Nintendo 64. And it wasn't retro. Like, it was a modern console at the time. I then moved up to a PS2, and the last console that I had was an Xbox 360. That is it. The Xbox 360, as I explained, I had running for all about a week and a half. The PS2, I had that for a number of years, but I had that during school, during secondary school. And yeah, again, when I went to college, it was like I had to sort of ignore that it was there because I needed to focus on my studies at college. But yeah, apart from that, I just end up spending far too much time on them. I don't know when to stop. So it's just better that I don't have the temptation. Having said that, and this is a very dangerous idea, what all of our plan or like goal is at Magload is at some point we will be finishing off the installation of a mezzanine in it. So we're going to be pretty much doubling the square footage of the Magload HQ. And once we've got that and we've got space to do this, we want a little rec / hangout area. And this isn't just for employees and just for us. We want it to be a place where people just come down and hang out. And what we want is a cabinet with every single console in it ever. Even like a NES. Is it a NES? But yeah, N64, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, 5, whatever. Be probably PS8 by the time we get there. All the Xboxes, even like a Nintendo Wii, stuff like that, Nintendo Switch. We want like the ultimate fucking gaming wall of every console and like every game. Yeah, that is a goal at some point. Hopefully by then I'll be able to afford not to to waste an hour here and there during the day playing consoles. But yeah, that's we are, I think every single one of us at Magload, we are gamers in some regard. I just can't let the addiction beat me again. Child, mine was an Atari. Yes, yeah. All right. No need to get into a who's older than who here, because I think I just royally lost that one. A happy parcel farce. So the thing with and this just like again blew my mind with it. When I was previously at Blue Field Sports, the like when we did post, so we had the magload post, which I'd take down to the local post office and hand over, and then Paul started and he did it. Don't forget the manifest, Paul. But regularly I would go down to do post, and there would be the parcel force van, and the parcel force van always came like during the evening, and like sat outside this post office, like they would always have the doors open, and I used to look into the doors, and more regularly than you would think, I'd be like, oh, that's the GMK order. For those of you that don't know, GMK is the Bretta Benelli Seiko Tikka distributor in the UK. Like I could see gun packages, and if we went a bit later and they had been to Blue Field Sports to pick up, I could see like guns that had been sent out of the shop. And if you went there earlier and they were on their way there were guns that were going to be delivered. And it was like just doors open. Like, what happens in that situation, right? Somebody just pulls a package, like, and it might not even be a targeted attack for the guns. Somebody's just opportunist. They see a big package like hanging out the back of a parcel force van. Parcel force guy is just in the shop not doing anything, or picking up packages, and they just walk off with a gun. Like, how is that explained? Right? Well, it was there earlier. I just, it's almost worrying how it's almost like they don't know what is there, and they genuinely seem to like treat them like any other package. I'm like, there doesn't seem to be any sort of special treatment with it, but I don't know, it works. You don't look a day over 35. Could be worse, I suppose. Never forget the manifest. No, you never forget the manifest. You certainly don't make it all the way down to the post office, realise, and have to come all the way back. But nobody has ever heard of my first computer. It was a Texas Instrument TI-994A. That just sounds old. Although I have technically had a Texas, I'm trying to think, is it here or it might even be at work? Is it here? Do I have it here? I actually own a couple of Texas Instrument calculators, which are probably 50 times more powerful than their first computer and the rest. Obviously, doing an engineering course, we used a lot of graphical calculators, and those things are just crazy. And I was dead against spending 50 quid on a calculator until you realised it was a significant advantage in exams. Like, significant. Like, how those things were allowed in exams, I have no idea. But, there was an advantage and I took it. Daniel, I still have the pics of you at the first match we went to. Good times. Are you talking to me or Paul? Andrew Price, my application went in last November, contacted last month, and response was just, we will contact you when we are ready. So frustrating, don't know if best to leave them or keep contacting. See, we've talked about this before as well, right? On the flip side, you're paying for a service, right? And at the moment, the service is pretty shocking that people are receiving. In any other industry, for like any other service provider, you would have the right to be able to complain. You'd rightly be able to complain, and I think have a reasonably good sort of solid argument to put in that complaint. But firearms licensing departments are pretty much a law to themselves. And is it necessarily wise? Like, I'm going to try and say this with a straight face. is it necessarily wise to go around annoying firearms licensing departments? Sorry, I just had a bit of self-reflection there. It's no, I don't go around specifically annoying them. They just happen to be annoyed because I have no problem in calling out things. Think things is the best word to put there. Yeah. So, but you know, as not necessarily like anybody in a, you know, not being in a journalistic, you know, my whole thing with firearms licensing is journalism, right? I'm privy to things that not everyone's privy to. I'm certainly in a lot more circles, and I hear things, and I feel I think that should be shared, you know, in a journalistic way. Define journalism. But yeah, as in terms of somebody's that effective relationship with the firearms licensing is literally, you know, you are a certificate holder or potential certificate holder, then, you know, do you want to annoy them? Like, is annoying them actually going to achieve anything? Is being a thorn in their side going to be better or worse? Is complaining going to be better or worse for you? You know, and I would like to think that this isn't the case, but you know, you put in a complaint and you start phoning up every other day and being a nuisance, you know, they are people, and there is the chance that they go, actually, fuck this guy. You know, it works to, you know, there's an expression that I've lived by for a long time, which is sometimes you need to make it harder for somebody not to do their job than to do their job. Usually, no offense to any present civil service servants, but that does tend to work very well with civil servants. Make it harder for them not to do their job, and they'll actually do their job for once. And that is sort of what I feel with firearms licensing as well. The issue is, like, they have absolutely no obligation. There's no like way to complain about them. There's no way to apply pressure to them. There's no way to sort of challenge them apart from when they, you know, say reject or revoke. You know, those are the only legal mechanisms. So they can pretty much do what they want. And if they want to be spiteful because you've made a bit of a nuisance of yourself, you've been a pain, you've complained against them, then there's nothing really stopping them from doing that. So you really do need to have that in the back of your mind when you're dealing with them. I'm not defending it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that's how it should be, because it really, really shouldn't. And I think that's one of the things that really needs to change with firearms licensing is accountability. Like, just like look at Plymouth, right? Oh, here we go again. Sorry. I had so close to not having a full-on rant, but look at Plymouth. Like, it is fucking obvious the multitude of cock-ups that happened there, right? And yes, I know there were people that were, you know, suspended on full pay pending this review, but there's still not really been any fallout, right? It's like, can you imagine if there had been a gun club, right? If there had been a gun club that had, you know, done, you know, made the levels of mistakes that Plymouth or Devon and Cornwall firearms licensing had made, that thing would be shut down in an instant. They wouldn't be allowed anywhere near a gun ever again, or have any ability of vetting or, you know, deciding who can be members, this, that, and the other. And it's like, what sort of punishment so far has there been to that firearms licensing department, right? What sort of changes have there been, right? And furthermore, not only has there been no sort of accountability, no sort of like reprimands, but they've gone the other way. They've started attacking the fucking certificate holders. They've started coming after them in high numbers, taking away certificates for pretty much no in a lot of cases, no actual given reason, turning up to people's houses at 2 o'clock in the morning with armed police. Like, and you're like, so anyway, like, that's what you're dealing with, right? That's, they literally more cock-ups than you could count on two hands. and yet they come after the other certificate holders in response, right? That's the sort of institution that you're dealing with. I'm not saying every firearms licensing is like that. There are, I know, an abundance of firearms licensing departments up and down the country that are absolutely top notch, that are gold, that really do work for the applicant. They work for the certificate holder, and they deliver an astounding service. But just look at what happened at Devon and Cornwall, and how they chose to respond to their own mistakes and lack of accountability. That's what you have to bear in mind when you put in a complaint. Are you dealing with a firearms licensing department that is actually going to go, actually, shit, yeah, we've messed up here, it's been far too long, look, we're trying to do everything possible to get you through? Or are you going to get the sort of firearms licensing department that puts a black mark against your name and tries to make hell for you for the rest of your shooting existence? Ask me how I know. So yeah. The best thing I can say is I don't think it's unreasonable to contact them either via phone, via email. Email is always the best way for a multitude of scenarios and different reasons. If you're dealing with firearms licensing, or you're dealing with your FEO or whatever, get it in writing. Even if it's just a small point, a small question, this, that, and the other, get it in writing 100% of the time, right? Because, FEOs can and are regularly mistaken, right? They give out incorrect advice, and if you act on that incorrect advice and you can't prove that incorrect advice was given, you're fucked, right? But in terms of chasing them, you want a paper trail. You want to be able to show, it's almost a mental thing for them. Oh God, there is this email train of, it's a demonstration of how long they have taken, and how they've potentially misled you. It's going to be 2 or 3 weeks, and then 5 months later. So yeah, either through email, as I'd advise, or through phone. I would say every 2 or 3 weeks. That's not an unreasonable amount of time to be waiting in between. If you want to be super safe, I would say once a month. I mean, my own personal situation, it's been, I was told 2 to 3 months. It's now been like 3.5 months, coming on 4 months, and I've still not contacted them. Granted, I think my solicitor's going to give them a little bit of a nudge, but I'm sort of just like, I genuinely, like, for professional reasons, really do need the certificates. Of course, I do desperately want the certificates, but I maybe have a very different relationship and experience with firearms licensing, and I'm just like, it is not fucking worth making myself any more of a nuisance than I already seem to be to them. Somebody else that maybe isn't as well known to firearms licensing as I am, maybe you can get away with a little bit more chasing, a little bit more prodding. Anyway, that was a long-winded thing, but it's complex. It really is. It's really, really complex. Switching on to some absolutely fantastic news. Not a discipline that I actually follow a huge amount, but it's, I think, overall some pretty big news. Precision rifle, or PRS, has been getting very, very big in the UK. A lot of ranges are doing it, and it's growing and growing. And the first ever world championships or world championships of precision rifle were held in France earlier this month. I'm very happy to say that the Brits came out world champions. Now, I didn't actually have time to. There were, as far as I know, there were 2 divisions. There was an open division and a factory division. I assume factory means it's like production. Anyone that knows a little bit more about PRS, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm guessing open allows you to do pretty much what you want to the gun, and they became the team world champions. I'll get a little pic for them, so they're out there. They are out there in France. Like, some of the kit that they've got is just absolutely phenomenal. And I did get this ready. It's not maybe the best video to show you what like PRS is, but if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, I found this video from Ultimate Ballistics. So 6th to 12th of France. It really does look like something that's like up my street. I do really want to go and try it and actually learn a little bit more about it, because it looks like practical long range shooting. It definitely looks like the sort of thing that I'd probably be interested in. Maybe not as much running as I would maybe like. But yeah, taking sort of multiple shots from like varied stances and positions. And there's some serious bits of kit being used there, and yeah, the Brits are they are the factory team world champions, which is it shows the class and caliber of shooter that we have here in the UK. I really hope that was part of a stage, and it looks like a good turnout as well from the manufacturers. Lots of support there, from big brands. You can see the amount of sponsors that are there, so it's great to see that another discipline is establishing itself. It's something new, it's something interesting. I think it's something that is going to pull in potentially new shooters as well. And yeah, there was a few other so 3rd place team military law division, and world champion in factory division, Lawrence Barnes. So we have a British world individual world champion. So absolutely brilliant news, and well done, chaps. Done your country proud. Of course, coming back with the top trophy. But yeah, should really go and do some of it myself and learn a little bit more about it. Paul IPSC, still certain your certificate has a post-it on it saying send to back of queue. Yeah, but they couldn't put my servancy to the back of the queue, could they? Ha ha ha. Nature finds a way. Rip Callum FAC. Yes, I did get set off, didn't I? I can't, I just say it how I see it, right? Say it how it is. And if people don't like that, it's like, well, that's not my problem. I'm just, if I see something and I say in it, you've got an issue, well, it's in your hands to change it, right? Firearms licensing departments have a serious job, but they are not as accountable as they should be. It varies on where you live exactly, but the majority seem to have bad rep, I tend to hear. What's West Yorkshire firearms licensing like? Have you heard anything about them? Is West Yorkshire, is that, I know it's a big shooting, it's like a big shooting area of the country. I don't think it's, is that Rishi Sunak? Because I don't know. Oh, it's Richmond. Is Richmond? I don't know. Anyway, he was born in Southampton. Local lad. Yes, I personally don't know. Usually, the more north firearms licensing department, the better. It tends the worst, from what I hear, the worst firearms licensing departments tend to be down south. I don't know why that is. Doesn't seem to be really any correlation. I think it's maybe because firearms licensing department, there's potentially more of a shooting culture up north. So it's more ingrained, it's more normalized than maybe it is down south. I don't know. We'll see. It's not just the licensing department. The delay back in my day used to be when it went up to the chief's office for signing. ACPO hated FAC, so used to delay signing them. Yes, that's sort of where I'm at the moment. As far as I believe, like firearms licensing have done everything they need to with my application. They just need to have they have a, what do they call it, like a senior staff meeting, sort of like once a month, and that's when they talk about all the applications that are going through. And you know, I'm sure there's some that gets more chat time than others, but yeah, they basically decide, like, you know, are they going to give a recommendation to give? Are they going to give a recommendation to refuse? And everything, regardless, I'm pretty sure. No, well, anyway, it gets put forward to the chief of police for them to make the final decision. So it sort of is just sort of lip service in terms of they just have to ink it, but the ultimate, you know, decision is down to the chief of police. That is who ultimately decides whether you have a firearm certificate or not. So yes, that can produce a lot of delays. I mean, let's see how many firearms certificates in Hampshire. Over 20,000. So yeah, you've got to think, you know, bearing in mind it's 5 years to renew, so that's 4,000 a year is being renewed. So technically the chief of police has 4,000 certificates that they're having to just renew every single year. I don't know what in terms of new. Oh well, since so since 2008, when recording began, officers have approved 14,750 applications, but revoked 867 licenses and refused 182. So this was in 2001, so that's 13 years. So it's over 1,000 new applications a year. So 3 a day, right? Like really rough, noddy numbers. But basically, yeah, 3 applications are being put on the chief of police desk every day to approve. And, you know, yes, again, I'm sure there are many that the firearms licensing department have said, you don't really need to look at this one. We're giving it the green light. It's okay to sign. You know, the chief of police can choose to then go, yeah, fine, I'm going to do that, or actually no, I will look closer into it. And there will be others where they go, we're not sure about this. This is going to be on you. And then the chief of police needs to sit there and look through, you know, effectively a whole case file of this person, and then make a decision. You know, like, is that a 5-minute process? Does that take them half an hour? If they've then got to do 2 or 3 of those, you know, you can see how it builds up and how it can take a bit of time. Maybe things need to change. You know, maybe, be careful what you wish for. Maybe in that regard, firearms licensing departments do need a little bit more autonomy. Maybe the firearms licensing department should be able to, without clogging up the chief of police, give out certificates. You know, because they can I'm pretty sure they can revoke them without the chief of police. But anyway, you know, maybe that would help things in that regard, giving more autonomy to firearms licensing. Richmond is in North Yorkshire. Cool. So yeah, I would say that North Yorkshire is probably going to be a good firearms licensing department. Southern softies don't like the pews. I can, as a certified soft southerner, very much like the pews. Chief just used to ignore, then for a day, a week, let him sitting in his tray, didn't care if recommended or not. Yeah. Again, this is where maybe, this is maybe where, you know, there needs to be a little bit more accountability in terms of the service delivered, because there is currently nothing to say that the chief of police needs to get pull the finger out and actually sign those certificates. So, you know, that's why it can take a month or a few months especially if if you've got a firearms licensing department that 3 or 6 months after the Prime Minister was telling everybody to go back to work, they were like, no, we can't go back to work. It's like there really is no hope, and it doesn't unfortunately seem to be getting any better. But we will see. I do know of people that have had certificates issued in Hampshire. So time to look towards the week ahead, or even the week and the next bit ahead. So we're going to be, if you're a KFC member, don't forget, might be a little bit too late. Maybe speak to Colin if you do want to get signed up. But there's a nice little Kentucky firearms match down at Leon Solent this weekend. Really convenient for me. It's like, I love those matches because it's literally the closest match I ever have to drive to. Literally, it's like a 5-10 minute drive for me. And so we're going to be there. It's a UK PSA level 1 club match, so looking forward to taking part in that, getting a bit more experience, bit of training with the gun, especially as the weekend after is another level 3. Now, I did talk about going into the Coats of Iron, just being incredibly rusty with quad loading and shooting a section 1 again, and it's I've sort of broken a lot of that rust off, and it will be I think going to KFC this weekend is perfect in the run up to this level 3 up at Recoil. But want to give the Recoil guys again a big massive shout out. So we're going to be up there on the Sunday shooting, but there is, I believe they're shooting on the Saturday and the Sunday. When I checked earlier, registration for this match is still open. So it's not too late, I don't believe. You can still get signed up. You do just have, registration is going to close, I'd imagine, reasonably soon. These guys are throwing everything at this match. It's their first level 3, and I think they want it to be one of the highlights of the calendar. So I do. How prepared of me. I have the link here. So if you want to get signed up for the match, you do need a long gun competition license from the UK PSA to be able to take part in level 3. But if you have one of those and it's your first level 3, you've never shot level 3, get signed up to this match. It's going to be a great one. They might come across very rough and scary, the Recoil guys, but they're all fucking lovely. But yeah, this is the sign up page. So it starts on the 26th of August. So starts 26th. Maybe they're shooting on the Friday as well. Let's have a look. So yeah, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, so a 3-day match. Currently 59 competitors, so it'd be great to see them maybe fill out a little bit more. It is a bit of a trek. Recoil I think is a good 2 hours past the border, but make a weekend of it. Take the missus up there, take the kids, go for a long weekend, go explore Scotland, and then piss off and disappear. Disappear to a shotgun match. The stages, they're going all out. They're doing 14 stages. For level 3, usually you only have 12, so they're really going above and beyond. And unfortunately, there's no stage diagrams. It'd be great to be able to show you, because from what it's been told, what I've been told, it's going to be absolutely incredible. But you can sort of see where there's going to be some fun. So the Sweetest Pill. It's a 28 round stage of birdshot. That is, that's the maximum. That is the maximum, long in terms of a long stage. So that I always like the long stages. I tend to always do better at the shorter stages, but I really enjoy the long stages. 26 plates and two poppers. It doesn't have no shoots on there, I don't think. So be interesting to see what that is, but I'm imagining a little bit of run and gun with them. And then this should be either absolutely horrendous or really fun. A 27 round buckshot stage. 4 paper, 1 popper, 16 plates, and 6 frangibles. So it's very rare with buckshot that you actually shoot anything other than paper. Occasionally a popper, occasionally some plates. But to have, well, actually in Coats of Iron, there was one stage that was all paper and one stage that was plates and clays or frangibles. But to have a really good mix in one stage, 4 paper, 1 popper, 16 plates and 6 frangibles with buckshot, again, it's either going to be really, really fun or it's just going to suck. Like, suck in the best way. Oh, no, that sounds bad. But yeah, it's either going to be horrendous to do. But yeah, unfortunately, I went to the stage description. Usually there's little diagrams there, but you can, what was it? It was the buckshot stage. It was this one. What stage was it? Stage 12. So can we learn anything more of it? On the audible, start signal engage targets so that they become visible. When popper hits and falls, it will activate up and down bobber of 2 IPSC mini targets and no shoot. Okay, it's going to suck. This stage is going to suck a dick. Remain visible at rest. Highest 2 counts to hit. Gun on top of wheelhouse, standing upright with both hands on ship wheel. Oh, is this is that the ship stage? Oh, that, yeah, fucking buckshot bobbers with no shoots. I mean, buckshot does have the nickname Luckshot. That's might just suck ass. I'm sure it's going to be incredible fun, but that could just be really fucking challenging. And what was the other big stage? Let's see if there's anything in that. The Sweetest Pill, stage 5. I'll see if maybe for next week I can get some stage diagrams and sort of show you the level of match that they're going to be putting on. 2 popper, 6 plates, 2 no shoots, total 28 targets. Oh, good. Only 2 no shoots. Like, it should be a quick fucking stage then. This should be a real blatter. On audible, start signal engage targets as they become visible. Note, door may only be opened by hand. Nice. Option 1, yeah, looks like fairly standard, but there's going to be a door there. But the fact that they've only got 2 no shoots on a 28 round stage, great. It should be a quick one. I like the long fast quick ones. Yeah, that's what she said. It's like the one, again, I will be getting footage of this out. There's a big circular stage at the Coats of Iron, and actually Ian did say I'm probably going to regret doing this, but I'm going to start up Final Cut Pro, because Ian's said that actually showing some of my personal footage wasn't an issue. So I see, I think I might have ripped it off there. It might be on Final Cut Pro. I'm going to see how my Mac handles streaming and firing up Final Cut Pro. If we drop out, you know why. I'll fix it and get back. I'll get it back up as quickly as possible. Let's see. Oh. Having said that, I don't seem to have... I swear I pulled some footage off. Let's see if I can... This is going to be really anticlimactic if I haven't. I swear I pulled some off. Anyway, I'll maybe get some. There was a big circular stage, and it was you basically, there was some really far, like, for shotguns from fairly far targets. So it was a big long stage, lots of targets, but it wasn't really a quick stage. It was, it was one of these, like, slow and steady, shoot a load of targets, load and move, shoot a load of targets, load and move, shoot a load of targets, load and move. And it was just shoot 4, load 4, shoot 4, load 4. That's pretty much the the rhythm of it. But you had to really stop and take these targets. You couldn't, there were a few that you could take on the move, but because of how far away they were and so many people were having top ups, I think Connor said he finished, bearing in mind the maximum so the minimum rounds required for the longest stage is 28s. So 28s is the maximum targets that they can put out for shotgun, and we start with 40 rounds on our belt. Right, we always recommend 40 rounds on a shotgun belt. You've put 9 into the gun, so you know, theoretically, with a maximum sort of target count of 28 or shot count of 28, you should always finish, ideally, with 12 rounds. Right, Connor's had 3 rounds left total. So that's how sort of tricky this stage was, how many top-ups were required. I almost went 1 for 1, apart from the closest target, which I missed. Like, fucking go figure. So I had to have a top-up on that one, which was fucking brilliant. But anyway, what ear defenders do you use? Paul, suck a dick. If I go and get the Lacey, I can get the footage up straight away. But the Lacey is downstairs in my bag, and yeah, if I thought firing up Final Cut Pro was going to kill my Mac, Lacey as well would probably finish it off. What ear defenders do you use? I use a mixture. So what I tend to use like 90% of the time are my custom fit guard duos. They've updated them since. There's a new. I'll bring them up. FYI, I believe I still have custom fit guards. I believe that there's still an arrangement with custom fit guards that if you mention EnglishShooting, you will get a discount. I believe it's 5 or 10%. So these are so they've changed them maybe a little bit. They had a duo for a while, but the passive is probably, the Switch, fun fact, I actually helped design that little, not design, but actually like prototype and make that little insert. But anyway, the passives I think are really unbeatable. You can still talk with them, you know, because you look at it, you go 79 for just a solid block or an extra 20 quid. The Switch, though, it actually gives you more. So the Switch is like basically the passives with an additional sort of adjustment. And this is what that I currently use, which they don't sell anymore, which is the Duo, which you could toggle between 2 different settings. And then they also have the digital. The digitals are great. I have a pair of their digitals. Like personally, I prefer the passives. You don't have to worry about turning them on and fiddling with them or battery life and this, that, and the other. You literally plug them in and go. And yeah, so I would recommend the CF passives or the CF switches. If you mention EnglishShooting, you will get a little bit of a discount. But they're fantastic. And so many people, like I am one of those people that would ordinarily lose stuff like that, but I've not lost a set yet. And that I'm now on my 3rd, 4th pair. You know, granted, you know, custom fit guards, they do sort me out. You know, I'll be completely honest about that, but I don't use anything that I don't want to use. And if I didn't like them, I certainly wouldn't be on my 4th pair, and I wouldn't rave about them. Super comfortable. I used to have a pair of like 15, 20 quid generics. I actually found them the other day. They were pretty disgusting. And you know, I was like, you know, why would I go and spend 5 times the amount on something that's going to do the same? And then you have, the thing is, you can't experience custom ear protection or in-ear until you've spent that money and tried it. Just super comfortable, proper fit. You can leave them in there all day. So the majority of the time I will use those. There are environments or situations where I will also use over ears. So certainly like full bore rifle with muzzle brakes, I will use over ears as well. That's not necessarily that the CF passives can't take it. It's more you know, not relying on just one. Certainly in a competitive environment, if something happens to either one of them, like, you've got backup. But yeah, I do feel, you know, 223 with a brake is probably, you know, where you might want to be switching over to over ears, and certain indoor ranges as well. again, things just get louder. Shooting full bore stuff in, shooting 9mm indoors with in-ears with the custom fit guards, absolutely no problem. Shotgun indoor or outdoors with the in-ears, absolutely no problem. Of course, all 2.2, absolutely no problem. But the full bore stuff does start to, I think, push. And then I'll start to use, but I'll always double plug, because that's it. If you're dependent on just the over ears, well, over ears can get knocked off really easily, and I will always double up. I'll have my in ears and I have my over ears. So even when I'm using my over ears, I've still got the plugs in. But that's when I'm shooting. That's when I'm competing. The only time that I won't use the in ears is if I'm filming. I will, because I need to hear what's going on. Crystal, okay, I could use the in-ear digitals, but yeah, for my over ears, I've got the Sport. It's the 3M Sport Tax, I think it is. It's like the most popular. I'll bring those up. Especially for practical shooting, like filming. Like being on a stage with the RO and the shooter, you need to absolutely know what is happening at every single second. The moment you switch off is the moment you end up getting a muzzle, through your own fault, getting a muzzle pointed at you, or you interrupt somebody's stage, which, like, fingers crossed, touch wood, I've never interfered with a shooter while I've been filming. For me, obviously safety is always the number one priority, but I am there to capture their stage. I'm not there to become part of their stage, but this is what I use for the over ears. I actually have the orange versions. It's 3M Peltor Sport Tac hearing protection. Really decent all round set, but I much prefer the in-ears. Certainly during summer, you don't get as sweaty. I find them more comfortable. They're a lot less to carry around. But yeah. How long do your custom fit guard defenders last? So I've never had to replace them because they've worn out. Basically, Richard, superb bloke, like, basically because I see him at like every show, and I've been there. I went to his first place where he started the company, and then he got his first unit, and I went there. I haven't actually been to his newest third unit yet. But basically every time I saw him, he would take an impression and make me a set of the latest and greatest. So, and I still have the original pair that he made me. But he's always making, that's why I really like the company. They're always making improvements to their products. And yeah, so it was like, oh, we've got this new one, we'll make you a set of these. We've got this new one, and we'll make you a set. But the ones that I currently have are by far the longest that I've had a pair. I should be able to give you a reasonable time frame, because I think we videoed the last time he did it, a custom fit guards. And that's the other thing, like, if you want to see how they're made, and that's exactly what the video is called. So yeah, there's a video on the channel which is called Custom Fit Guards, How It's Made. And look, that's one beautiful side of the face there. This video was put out October 2017. Fuck, it does not feel that long ago. So yeah, that's how long I've had my latest set, coming up to 5 years, and they're still perfectly good. It's actually really interesting, coming from an engineering background, actually how they're manufactured and the techniques that they use is actually really really interesting. There are certain things that I can't show and I couldn't put in the video, but yeah, if you're interested in seeing what Richard would allow me to show you of their process, then go and check out the video. All pretty cool stuff. But yeah, so coming up to 5 years, and it's been fine. And the thing is, it's sort of a false economy. You go and buy a 20 quid pair, right? How long does a 20 quid pair last? A year? you know, like I would tend to be buying new sort of generic in-ears once every 6 months, every year. Well, you go and spend 20 quid every 6 months or every year over the course of 5 years. That's a pair of custom in-ears, you know. So, you know, I work this out with like Apple headphones, the headphones that comes with the iPhone, the leaded ones. And I don't think they actually supply them anymore. But I was getting through a pair of those every 6 months at one point when I was at uni, and they're not warranted, right? Because it's wear and tear. And they were like 30, 40 quid. And I was like, well, hang on a minute. If I spend 40 quid every 6 months, after 2 years, I would have spent 160 quid. Whereas a pair of Bose, which had a 2-year warranty, I think they were like 100 quid. I'm like, I'm actually going to save money going and spending 100 quid on a pair of headphones. So I did. And the Bose did break after about a year, but a 2-year warranty, and they replaced it. So I guaranteed to have a pair of... Anyway, it's, you know, they call it like the poor man's shoes. You know, the poor man buys a pair of £20 shoes that will only last a year, and they have to buy a pair of shoes every year for the rest of their life. A rich man goes and pays £400 for a pair of shoes, but they last him a lifetime, who ends up spending more money on their shoes. You know, it's that sort of stuff. But yeah, highly recommend. You know, custom fit cards, they don't pay me. They just hook me up with ear defenders. But they do give you a 5-10% discount if you mention English Shooting. So they do hook you guys up. Need someone to take over modding, not a stuff shorty. Buy cheap, die twice. Yeah, absolutely. Are in-ears really that much better than over-ears? I have the electronic Peltors and debating getting CFGs or similar. It's good. Like, genuinely, like, I would have both. They both have their place, and there's a time to use them. You'll learn which one to use when, and which environments suit them. Like, yeah, there's the main thing is the comfort level. After a whole day of wearing over ears, it can start to it starts to get uncomfortable. Certainly wearing eye protection and a cap, you know, they can get hot, they can get sweaty, they press against your head. It's just not as comfortable. But just in ears, just in there, because they're custom, they don't apply like any pressure to your ears, which the cheap hearing protection, you stuff them in and they expand, and you've got that constant pressure on the inside of your head, and that can be quite uncomfortable. But the custom ones, they're made to fit you, fit like a glove, and they do the job. So yeah, if you're doing a lot of shooting, if shooting's a big hobby of yours, like, I don't think you should really squawk at spending 80 to 120 quid on in-ears. You know, certainly ones that I've had for the last 5 years, and have been absolutely fine. But yeah, seeing as my mod has gone to Betty Buys, it's a bit dangerous to go alone. And I don't know necessarily if I want to make Paul a mod. He might already be a mod. Oh no, he hasn't got the spanner there. Yeah, making Paul a mod might be dangerous. But yeah, we've actually gone for quite a long time this evening. Holly's away, so the boys will play. That could also sound very wrong, but anyway, yeah. Basically, I'm a lonely fucker. Holly's fucked off on holiday. Another holiday, back-to-back week holiday, like fucking hard life, isn't it for her? Oh, I hope she doesn't see this. Do you want to be a mod, Paul? Shall I make you a mod? Do you want the power and responsibility and necessarily legal implications of being a mod on English Shooting? If you want to be a mod, I'll make you a mod. Yeah, so yeah, basically I'm all on my own at the moment, so doing a long live stream, it keeps me thinking about the empty dark house downstairs. Do you want to be a mod? Come on, Paul. Come on. Do you want to be a mod? Do you want that on your CV? I mean, you've only just got your FAC. Do you really want to? Fuck it, I'm going to make him a mod. unlimited power. No, it's not unlimited. I'm going to make him a mod, and then I'll let Hampshire know. Like, becoming a mod in English shooting is basically the same as nominating somebody as a servant of an RFD. Like, I have to notify my local firearms licensing department. There we go. He's now a mod. You should all be scared. You can always come home. Well, I did last night. Are SWAT comms any good? I've never tried them. I know a lot of people rave about them. I think they're a little bit more military than, say, sporting use. Can't be that bad. Yes, now he's a mod. 1 minute. Just need to send my email to Hampshire. Paul Wyborn, now recent FAC holder, is now a mod of English shooting. Take action where required. Yeah, so on that note anyway, I am going to head off, but I really appreciate all you guys sticking around and getting involved this evening. There will be 100% a stream next week. I can guarantee it, because we're not heading up to Yevley until we're either heading up there Saturday morning or Friday night, so it won't interfere with live stream. And then we're going to be at Recoil on the Sunday, so we'll be next Thursday, same time, same place, 8:30 p.m. UK time. Before you all leave though, make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. If you've enjoyed the stream, then make sure you're subscribed, because again, we pretty much do this every single week. And if you've only just caught this, you can rewatch it. It's all the streams are put up online for people to scroll back through. Sometimes that's more trouble than it's worth, but it's up to you guys. And thanks to everyone that made donations and supported this evening. If you do want to support the channel anymore, just need to. I'm always shit at plugging my own stuff, apart from Magload. If you do want to support the channel anymore, then you can head over to EnglishShooting.org, where there is a selection of merch, and everything goes into the channel. New equipment, doing new things, everything from stickers, patches, caps, key rings, bit of Magload as well, but some nice English shooting goodies. And if you're looking at getting into the sport and learning about our firearms licensing and how to get your certificate, if you go to videos, there is a summation of all the sort of videos to pretty much get to your firearms interview, which is the stage that I've got to. I've done it, and there will be more videos to come about what happens after your firearms interview once I've progressed further than my firearms interview, my application interview. But again, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Really does mean a lot, really does help the channel. I hope you all have a fantastic shooting filled weekend ahead. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and of course, as always, guys, hope to see you soon.